Are you tired of wasting time on entertainment that doesn't bring you a sense of community? Do you feel like people are trying to force you to take a side in this silly culture war? Does your media have you feeling too conservative, too woke, too religious, too heathenous, not enough whatever, like a freak? That's because you're not a caricature. You're a real person. You're messy, and you don't fit into a box. Good news, we're freaks too.
Would you like to melt your stress away? Get connected to a community of other misfits? Maybe listen to the misfits? Stop feeling like a lonely outsider surrounded by people trying to enlist you in a war you want no part of. Become a contented member of a community that requires only that you live your best life and leave others to live theirs.
Feel a sense of belonging while opting out of the culture war. This is Peace Freaks. Welcome, Denver Libertarian. Is that what we're going to be calling you today, or you want me to use this little name in the corner?
You can say Nick. That's fine.
Okay. We'll say Nick.
You can do whatever you want. Nick
the
Denver Libertarian.
It'll be weird if I call you just Nick, because I'm also Nick.
Right.
So there's too many Nicks.
Well, I was going to say, I got to focus. I got to say Nicky P. If we're talking about you, you can say Nick. If we're talking about me.
Okay. And so
Or
that,
Denver.
Liz, this exact moment is exactly why I've been trying to force Nicky P on everybody for years.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever works
For
you,
this
baby.
moment.
Truly, what it is it's like that last little bit of that's always the way Italian grandma called me, was Nicky. Come here, Nicky.
Aw.
I was always Nicky as a kid.
Well, that's
And, I like keeping it. It's
Yeah.
a heritage thing.
there you go.
I
don't get to keep much of the Italian stuff.
Right on.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Denver Libertarian is kind of a mouthful. So if you want to say Denver or Nick, whatever.
I'm going to be honest. The way that we talk is very Italian, so I'm probably just going to cut you off, and there'll be no name calling whatsoever.
That's fine, too.
It's more a matter of how much of this is going to get chewed.
There you go.
I'm going to be honest. I really only ask for the graphic that I'm going to put over the episode when it
Right.
comes out.
I got you.
So
So
it makes sense to people.
You can do it like what Jared did on Peaceful Treason. He just did Nick Denver Libertarian Weber. So get
Oh,
it
there
all
you
in
go.
there. Kind of a mouthful. Whatever.
I'm just never with Twitter people. I'm never sure like how much they're trying to
Yeah.
keep themselves from being doxxed,
Right.
because we do still have some of those people that are pretty well ingrained in their characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although Bird did allow that one picture to slip that Pete Quinones shared on Facebook.
Ah,
Right.
snap.
So I've actually seen what Bird looks like in real
You
life.
have seen the face of Bird.
Well, he just outed himself on Insta not too long ago.
Oh,
Really
there you go.
He's got real bird face. Not fake bird face, but real bird face.
Man.
weird. I don't know that I follow him on. I'm not on our Instagram enough to.
I know. I love me some Instagram.
I like it. It's just like for me to do it the way I want to do it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because I got to edit photos.
And I just slap
like
stuff
that.
up there because I love it when people slap stuff up there, and then I look at all the pictures and I'm just like throwing out hearts, just making it rain.
I like the snark of Twitter.
I know you
It's
do.
my kind of people.
I have no patience for snark, so you can have that. I'll keep my Instagram.
Now, I figure on my website, I've got my name on all my articles, so it's like it's not that difficult to find.
Oh,
my
Right.
name.
so you're not a redheaded libertarian that's still complaining about being doxxed, even though she links to articles with her actual name on them.
Wonk wonk.
One click and you find my name. It's not that difficult. It's fine.
Did you heard about that whole thing with Jeremiah?
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like that kind of person. That's literally why we changed the name of the show. So
No, that's a good point to bring up because yeah, at least the last episode you released, you guys talked about the rebrand.
Yeah.
And I like the concept. I like the idea. And I've been kind of toying with that in my mind too, just because you say Denver Libertarian, it's like, it's all right there. And then some people are just immediately just turn that off.
Mhm.
And you gotta really work to kind of overcome that. So
I mean, like I have a history as an anti-war leftist. So I'm an anarchist. Whatever. I got enough things in common with people.
Yeah.
The fact I'm a hardcore capitalist, that's whatever. They can get to that when we get to anarchy.
yeah. Well, and that's the good thing that I really liked about your guys' show, even going way back. I think before you were on Launchpad, is just that you were talking about stuff that wasn't necessarily, specific topic driven. You're like, let's just talk to people. And as we talk, things will come out and we're going to talk about music. And so that was always a draw for me to kind of start following you guys.
And I wish that more libertarians cared about music like I do, because I'm going to be honest, some of those interviews got really, really like teeth pulling to try and get to work, because they just really. And I know I've said this before. Some of the professional musicians that we've talked to on the show
Or
seem
the
to
least
really
interested in
not
talking
care
about
about music
Yeah.
at all.
Hmm.
They fancy themselves like Bitcoin propagandists now or something. You can do the math on that. Like literally refused to answer musical questions. Just wanted to talk about Bitcoin.
What are you gonna do?
Which reminds me, we've got to get the redheaded lady, Naomi. We got to get Naomi on. I got to try and contact her. She's very nice in person.
Mm-hmm.
So, at any rate, Nick here said, hey, we can talk about yacht rock to me months ago.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
And I was waiting for him to get back to me at some point about when would be a good time, and then he didn't. So then somebody, I don't remember what the hell they said, somebody came in and just like, I'll just throw this in there. Why not? And just seed the idea. Hey, man, we never did that episode.
I think my wife will not be surprised to find out that I did not follow through on something that should have been planned.
Yeah, we're both learning on the whole, like, let's plan life and, like, do things on purpose thing. So we feel you.
Oh, really? We're both learning this, Liz?
Well, yeah, me more than you, but geez.
I mean, it's not something I didn't know. I may ignore it from time to time at will.
Okay.
I realize a planned life is far superior.
Okay.
You're the one that's new to
I am.
doing it.
I'm like, what's this organization thing people are talking about?
But he said the words yacht rock, and that's
Yeah,
about
all good. It's all good from there.
And honestly, Liz probably likes it more than I do.
I do. I love me some yacht
That's
rock.
great.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody else on Twitter who I could say that to, and they would be like, yeah, we should definitely do something about that.
Oh, no.
I'm curious, how far into that web series did you get?
I've got like, I think I've got the last 4 to go still. So I made
nice.
it a good way through. That is so damn funny.
I mean, by the way, some of the best episodes are trailing towards the end. My least favorite one is the Tom Woods episode.
Oh, where they're doing the what's the guy's name with the panpipes or whatever?
Yeah, his dad does the episode on what's his name? The prog band.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like reading a book.
Yes.
Or not a book. He's whatever he's doing.
So flipping weird. Jethro Tull.
Yeah, Jethro Tull.
The Jethro Tull
It's
episode.
like, don't get me wrong, it's funny, but it's not near as funny as everything that surrounds it.
Yeah.
Right. I would agree. Because I was kind of watching it going like, where are we going with this one? You know, the rest I kind of understand the concept. This one was really out there.
And it's such a very niche thing, because unless you know anything about yacht rock, like, it's all just kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole bunch of inside jokes that, like, you have to know something about the music and the people involved to piece any of it into something realistic.
Right.
For me, like, anytime I've pitched it to somebody, which is anytime someone gives me an excuse,
You're right.
I always just, it's like, imagine if Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald's were best friends and they went on adventures. That's the only way that I can think to come up with it. And then Hall & Oates being villains and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing is that when it was started, they made it in 2005.
Okay.
So, in particular, I don't know if you watched the Van Halen episode yet.
Oh, Van Halen one.
You'll believe me, you'll remember the Van Halen if you saw it.
I may not have gotten to that one yet. The last one I watched was with Michael Jackson.
I think it's actually the next one. They've teased. You see, their Eddie Van Halen guy, and then where he makes the stupid faces with the guitar. Me and Eddie Van Halen have been getting so much cooch. So essentially, the next episode they're gonna really dig in with Ted Templeman, who is Dan Harmon. If you know who, he's the guy who created Community and was one of the guys behind Rick and Morty. It's the Steve Agee in the show is, the lead singer of Toto is Steve Agee, who's a big famous comedian. Wyatt Cenac plays what's his name in there? Like, Wyatt Cenac's one of my favorite ones. They do the episode with Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, is he the Jimmy Buffett?
Man.
No, he's not the Jimmy Buffett. He's Wyatt Cenac's the black guy. Al Jarreau No, it's not
okay.
Al Jarreau. It's the other one.
Yeah.
The last 4 episodes, honestly, the last 4 episodes are probably almost as good, if not better, than the first half, because like they just go completely off the rails. There's there's a whole episode based on Steely Dan and the Eagles and their feud. and that one's quite enjoyable.
There you go.
That's great. I'm excited now, so I've got my Sunday night figured out to just finish off the series.
Absolutely. Well, and I like the fact that they're short episodes, so you can just watch the entire series.
Yeah.
You can just get it in.
So I'm curious, how did you get into this whole style of music in the first place? Because like you said, there's very few people that are just into it.
It's probably has a lot to do with the yacht rock station on Sirius XM, and a lot of it is like my wife and I, when we get in the car, trying to find music that we can both just listen to, and it's fine, non-confrontational. Not everybody's wanting to change the channel every 20 seconds. That was one of them that really stuck with both of us. Like, we just kind of enjoyed it.
Everything's a sing-along.
Yeah, you can sing, you know the words. It gives you that good feeling, thinking about summer, spring, whatever it is. I think another part of it is I had this Jimmy Buffett phase when I was younger. And I think, no, that's not exactly quite yacht rock at all, but it's kind of got that.
You say that, and there's just this great joke that you're gonna love when you hear that. 'Cause oh god,
Well, don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but you're gonna die laughing when you see it because
That's great. I'm looking forward to this. So I think that has maybe something to do with it. I don't know. I've always had a thing, even for like the cheesy slow songs too. I've got a playlist called Slow Jams where it's just like all the cheesy songs, but
his slow jams is way different than my slow jams playlist.
Accurate, but
because mine's all ludicrous and all this '90s R&B.
Well, that can work right in there.
See, I'm
So, I
thinking
don't know, I
slow
guess that-
jams. I'm like reminiscent by Little River Band. Is that in that list?
I don't know. I think it may mean a little bit something different to everybody, but
oh yeah.
I think mine may be more cheesy than Slow Jam. They're just kind of cheese.
Okay, but slow jam sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spell it with a B at the end so you can be funny about it.
Right.
Joke.
Nice.
That was Weezer did that.
No, you with the B.
Weezer had in a song called "Burnt Jam,"
Oh, nice.
and it was we won't get into that album, but
Okay, fair enough.
it was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst. It was the first not great Weezer album, or first not good Weezer album.
Mm.
Like, it had some tracks on it, but it's the one that came right after the Green album. So it's the first one with their current bass player. And everything since they added their current bass player just kind of
Not into it, huh?
Well, now they just suck, but
Yeah.
Scott's terrible. I don't know what he did to the band, but what little was left after Matt Sharp left is gone now.
Dude, and I'm with you on Weezer Pinkerton because
Yeah.
I know you've talked about that a lot, and that's one of my favorite ones they put out.
Well, it's me and Liz have talked about it. Just the other night we were talking about it because she's like, so are all these like I put it on, and she's like, are all these songs Pinkerton? I'm like, yeah, it was an amazing fucking record.
Right,
Like,
just
Yeah.
every
all of them are
song,
bangers.
like even my least favorite song is still a good song. It's
Yeah.
just not mine. You put it in the middle of everything else, and it's kind of like I'm always a little disappointed that well, it's if you actually get into it, some of the B-sides off that record are pretty awesome too, because you've got You Gave Your Love to Me Softly and stuff like that were B-sides during that era, and that song is one of my favorite Weezer songs. It's still not as good as Only in Dreams, but maybe a close second.
Yeah, damn. Only in Dreams.
Just that slow
yeah.
bass part, just doom 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 doom, just lays it out there.
That could be a
Turn it
slow
way
jam.
up too in the house.
Well, and I love that song because it's dynamics. Everything
Mhm.
about that song is just the dynamics. You know, it's got those moments where like it fades away in the middle to almost nothing, back to just the bass line after they're just slamming on the feedback right before that.
Yeah.
It's just such a well constructed song.
They take you
Yeah,
places.
it really builds. You gotta
Yeah.
just sit back and enjoy the whole thing. It's just that's definitely one of my top ones off that album for sure.
And the Blue album's great. It's not my favorite. Like I said, Pinkerton just blows it out of the water. But like Pinkerton, I feel like you had to actually think about it.
Hmm.
Like the hit off of that record is El Scorcho, because I think they were trying to like remake the Sweater song, and it just didn't happen that way. Oh well. God, it's good though.
We could talk about Weezer for a while.
I know,
Weezer-
right?
Just don't get me started because that can go forever. There's actually a funny bit on SNL. I don't watch much SNL, but I caught one on YouTube because they want us to watch corporate media instead of like the stuff that I want to watch, like
Right.
erotic. And it's like the new couple in town is at dinner with like their neighbors, and then one of the women accidentally mentions Weezer. Oh, I love Weezer. They're great. And then all of a sudden, his wife, like turns to him and is like, honey, no. Honey, no. And and so the dude just lights her up about, being a real Weezer fan and basically everything after Pinkerton is garbage. And I think eventually the sketch ends with them like getting thrown out of the house.
Just got too real.
It does get real.
Yep.
That's great. I mean, I'm going to age myself here, but I was in high school when that Blue album came out. And that was the one that me and my buddy, we were rolling around in our beat up Subarus, and we had the Discman that plugged into the tape deck.
Oh, nice.
That's how we would play our songs, and we would play that. We played that a lot.
See, he's aging us because that didn't age him all that much. I'm like, yeah, dude, I still had a Discman in high school. I don't know.
Right.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm on the cusp of aging out, but I'm not bad.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Somebody posted something the other day, and like I definitely aged myself. I'm like, just for the, but I think I did it the other way. I
Yeah.
was talking to Lee Tark over at the Punk Rock Libertarians. He posted something. In fact, I think it was actually about Weezer, and I did remind him that. Well, the Discman thing I'm still there with. I think I was 10 years old when the Blue album came out. So
Yeah. There you go.
was it 1994? I think.
94. Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
You got to get it in there when you can, I guess.
Yeah. But because we were talking about how, like in particular with him, how Weezer I think is actually what led me to punk rock, because they were on the soundtrack to the movie Angus, and you got Weezer and the Muffs, but you've also got the Riverdales, and then the Riverdales leads you to Screeching Weasel, and then Screeching Weasel gets you into like all the old school late 80s, early 90s punk, and at that point you're kind of deep into it. But I don't know that I ever would have went that direction if I'd never listened to Weezer. I could just totally be listening to the Cardigans a lot. Which by the way, we got to get you on the Cardigans tip.
I don't mind the Cardigans. I wasn't like heavy rotation, but
Yeah.
Do you
I'm fine
ever
with it.
you ever listen to their version of Iron Man?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's
It's
groovy.
on my quote unquote slow jams
Hey,
playlist.
yeah.
It's it is the cool. It's not the same song. Like it's lyrically all the same, but man, they took some liberties with it. And most of the music that it fits on that playlist with is yacht rock, but it's them like Sea and Cake, a couple other like I think the Step Kids are on there. You'd probably really get into the Step Kids if you've never listened to them.
Are they yacht rock?
They're not, but they're definitely. I think someone who digs yacht rock would get into them.
Okay.
They're interesting. Their lead guitar player was Alicia Keys, touring guitar player. I've actually their lead guitar player was actually he played guitar with Stevie Wonder on like a BET show I watched once too. So like just a really really talented jazz guitar player kind of guy. But like their music it's more like 60s psychedelic meets it's I really can't describe it because it is such a weird crossroads of different genres.
Yeah.
But it does have the thing that I think all real people into yacht rock is, and it's the vocals. They've got very soupy harmonies that are like do interesting things.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really what drew me into it is just like you got those layers of Michael McDonald and
Oh man, you're reminding me now. I
You know,
haven't listened to those guys in a while.
and the Doobies and all that stuff. It's like you got those they're like, and I don't know that I connected it when I was younger. The whole idea of like Blackwater by the Doobie Brothers, like I don't know that I would have ever thought of it as like yacht rock, but in the same vein, like kind of makes sense. It works. It's those vocals though. I think that's what does it.
I've got a handful of songs too that I'm like, I don't think this quite fits yacht rock, but it has enough that I'm kind of like, maybe I could squeeze it in there on a playlist and it'd be fine. But on its own, you're kind of like, maybe I wouldn't really do that.
It's almost like a feel.
I would
more
never.
than
This isn't something I would show to somebody and say, oh, this is what yacht rock is.
Right.
But it would
right.
totally be on the list with the other stuff because I'm like, oh yeah, it's like the extremities of it, but I could still, it'll still have that mood.
Yeah, it's got the same vibe.
And a lot of it, because that's one of the things that I think is most important about it. It's just there's a mood, there's a vibe to it that if it doesn't have, it's not it. But you know when it is. How did you end up doing on your list? Because you're telling me you were working on a best of list. He was trying to get it down to a top 10, and I just laughed at him. I'm like, most of the yacht rock lists I've seen online are like 200 songs, and every one of them is a banger. I wouldn't cut a single one.
Right. I felt like I was in a good spot last night, and then I pulled it up here before we started, and I was looking down towards the bottom of the list, well out of the top 10, and I played one of them. I was like, the hell's this one doing way down here? This one's got to go up. But then like all the other ones moved down. So yeah,
Right.
it's kind of a lost cause, but I'm pretty happy with it.
Okay, well,
I want to hear this list.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Should we, let's see. I guess you want me to start at 10 and work backwards, or do you just want to talk about some that are on the list?
You can do it however you like to do it. I mean, it's invariable that I'm going to comment. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
By comment, he means
give a speech,
right.
teach a lecture.
There's gonna be a soapbox.
You see, when I start giving lectures, it just reminds Liz of our first date. She gets a little verklempt.
It was like a 4 hour like lecture on music.
We've mentioned it in the show before, but our first date was, let's go for coffee, and then we're going to go to the art museum.
Right.
And then we went for
We did coffee, and we got to the car, and then he just starts putting something on the radio, and I'm like, oh, who's this? And then he's off. That's it. That was the end of it.
4
We're
hours
just sitting in the parking lot for 4 hours, and he's just, oh, you got to hear this thing. Oh, you got to hear this thing.
And we never made it to the art museum.
Thank God.
Yes, because had we made it to the art museum, we would not still be together.
No.
She would have left me. It all makes sense.
Yep. She would have left me as I just trashed everything in the place.
Like this. This guy's an asshole. Fuck.
I am an asshole. But it was, she got weaned into me being an asshole. It didn't start the first date with me being a prick.
Sure.
It started with me being a know-it-all. But apparently she could deal with the know-it-all.
That's fine. You're just really passionate about something. That's probably a good thing, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all just forewarning for you. That's why we're saying it.
I've heard the show before.
He's like, I know where you're coming from. I know what I'm in for.
So,
all right. Well, let's get it started here. I'm gonna start with Gino Vanelli. I Just Want to Stop, and I'll tell you why. That before I knew kind of like what yacht rock would be, that song I came across on like some 70s collection album, and that one just stuck with me. And I was making a mixtape CD at the time, and I put it in there just because I loved it so much. It's so random too.
His mixes are way different than mine ever were.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just laughing because like when I was a kid, I'd hear like those songs, and those were called grown folks music. Mm-hmm. Like, the grown folks were doing stuff if like that music was playing. So you'd find something to do somewhere. Like, just that's how that worked.
Yeah.
It's how do you distinguish between like adult contemporary and yacht rock? I think there's got to be some overlap.
It's a year.
Is it?
Yes,
that what
yes.
It is?
Adult contemporary, I think, happens in the 90s. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Like everything, maybe it's like 1985 is the line.
Okay.
Which will make more sense when you finish watching that show.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about it. Because I sent you that link, and I finished the entire series right after I sent you the link.
Mind.
So I've watched it recently. And just for the record, I've watched it at least 5 times. I'm still picking up little jokes that I missed the first couple times through because there's just these little tiny things. In particular, like how Yamo Be There happened. Their explanation for that is genius.
I've always loved you, and your dark and lonesome ways. The anchors they are lifted, your sails are set ablaze. Yeah, I love you. Yeah, you move me, hardwood angel. Do you see?
It's got layers.
I love to just generally in the series. It's like you can almost kind of tell a story from the titles of the songs. And you can that's kind of a big part of how they built the thing in there. And because a lot of the titles of the songs they're so close to being something you might say, but they're so cheesy. And it's just just like all the feels.
You just come in here trying to muster some nostalgic tales. That's what a fool believes, Kenny. That's what
That's what a fool believes.
Right into the song. Awesome.
Well, but it's the idea of just making a show about how all these songs could have come into being. Like it's that in itself. I'm surprised somebody hasn't done that in a broader scale, because you can totally do that. Like fictional ways songs were written in history.
Yep.
I mean, it's funnier in this sense just because I think you have they've built a mythology.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's exactly how all of this happened. I don't care what reality is. I'm going to live in a world. I choose to live in a world where Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins are best friends, and that's how all those songs happen.
Like actual Kenny Loggins. Like, actually, what happened is no Kenny.
Not to get too off the beaten path, I do have to ask, because it was in episode 2. I know you watched it. So I was in a 70s prog band for a while, and Radio by Hall & Oates, which is the song they do in the battle. I stand by the fact that a late 70s, early 80s progressive band could totally play that song, and our fucking drummer shot it down repeatedly. And I'm like, dude, that totally works next to fucking all of the other stuff that we're doing. Like, we're doing late era Kansas, we're doing Steely Dan, we're doing Genesis. So it's like, that song's all synthesizers, and like, it's a great rockin' song. I don't get it. It pisses me off. What are your thoughts? Do you think that would have been a usable song for that kind of scenario?
I don't know.
He said it was disco.
I mean, it does have some solid disco, flavors there. But
you're all fucking wrong.
It does have the
That's
synth,
Look, I'm just saying it's not any less prog than the fucking 80s Genesis we were playing.
Oh.
I guess that's my point.
I think, to not acknowledge like disco, disco was going on in the same kind of era.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be some influences, right?
Yeah, no,
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it's the fact that the entire song opens up with like a 2-minute like synthesizer. Because they truncate the shit out of that song. Like, if you've never listened to the full thing, like, it's got this like boom, boom, no, 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 woo, 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 all this like synthesizer shit in the beginning, a bunch of like weird vocals, and then all of a sudden the song kicks in. They actually kind of take out a couple cool vocal parts in the truncated version they used for the show. But it's such a good fucking song. All right. Back to the list. I'm sorry. I thought of it.
It's got to come up. You got to bring it up.
I'm
gonna go Robbie Dupree with "Steal Away."
Oh, yeah.
I do love that one.
As soon as like from the top when that one hits, I'm just like, yes, we're in the yacht rock mode right now.
That and what's funny is that he's not one of those guys that has a million songs that would fall like that you'd remember. But that song to me might almost be like the epitome of what a yacht rock song is.
Yeah.
I think
it's just a perfect, like, everything that sounds like this is yacht rock.
Right. It's so smooth.
I think that one's got to be close to the top for me. Yeah, I think you got the Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes. I like that one a lot. We got Pablo Cruz with What You Gonna Do.
I don't know. Which one's that?
What you gonna do when you say goodbye? Something like that.
Okay. It's so interesting.
It's a little more upbeat.
Yeah.
And I'm going to butcher some singing of songs, so I'm hoping everybody's ready for that.
Oh, yeah, bring it. I'm totally down.
So, I don't know. I'm going to continue on. I don't know if I could have a list of yacht rock without Michael McDonald in it.
Oh,
so,
no.
I keep forgetting
Oh, yeah.
every time you're near the title of the song.
Have I ever mentioned the dueling Michael McDonalds? They actually did this. I think Justin Timberlake and a couple of people did it on SNL, where they did like row, row, row your boat as a round with 3 people playing Michael McDonald. In fact, I think Michael McDonald may have actually been the third person that came out. Like, that may have been the joke. But it always upset me because like that had been a big thing me and my partner in Dos Tobras had been doing for years. We'd just be on stage doing our competing Michael McDonald impersonations. Because he's just one of those people like our buddy Tommy that like anyone who's ever heard him has an impression of how you do him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very distinct voice.
Yes.
So, I don't know how to describe it, but everybody does have some way of singing it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't even know. He's a good singer, but like, it's just
something about it that you want to do that.
It's like
thing.
he sings like a muffled, like he's singing into a diaper, but like, and it's kind of like,
okay.
I don't know. I to me, like, what even it's funny is because I think of, I don't know if it ever even occurred to me Michael McDonald was in the Doobie Brothers until way, way after the fact.
Oh.
As a kid, I remember Michael McDonald, he was doing those infomercials selling those gospel records that he did. Like, where he just covered, like, old gospel music.
I do not remember this.
So, like, that is how I remember Michael McDonald, when he was already white-haired Michael McDonald.
Yeah,
and then like, years and years later, I find out, well, he was in the Doobie Brothers, and that's why people know him. And then eventually I start piecing together, oh, that's the dude who sang those songs. And they were some of the best Doobie Brothers songs, without question.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, this changes literally parts of my life. Like-
looking back.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I have to find this gospel
No, what we
record
need
now.
to get is we need to get Michael McDonald and Kenny Rogers to do impersonations of each other.
Oh God.
They've got the similar hair, or they did. I don't know.
Well, that's
It's still there.
That's the thing. I always think about Will Sasso's Kenny Rogers impersonation. His Kenny Rogers jackass, which their sketch is just what is it? Drink a gallon of whiskey or some shit like that. Oh God. It was a Mad TV sketch back in the day where Will Sasso
Yeah.
just made it like Johnny Knoxville didn't exist and Kenny Rogers hosted Jackass instead.
Oh, geez.
And so it's just Kenny Rogers. Honestly, I think he had like some of the actual guys do the bit with him.
Oh jeez.
He's got Bunny and Steve-O running around with Kenny Rogers or whatnot, hitting each other in the nuts. And it's like Kenny Rogers has always been a grandpa, so like to imagine him in that
Right.
place. But like, there's also that element of you listen to Kenny Rogers' old music, you could totally see him just being like a drunk badass.
He definitely did seem to have that side.
I don't know.
All right, right on. Are we going back to the list?
I
was just going to do an awkward pause for you. I know you guys like that.
We do like the
We do,
awkward.
we
I
do.
like the awkward pauses.
How we roll.
I'm going to branch out a bit and see what you think if this one really qualifies.
Okay.
We'll go with After the Love Has Gone, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire actually is one of those bands that, well, I don't know that they are. They're certainly close enough that I'm never gonna say, yeah, you should totally take that out of the playlist.
I think so.
Like even I mean, I think maybe it's just like the way black people did yacht rock. Maybe that's what it is.
It's certainly very smooth.
It's definitely smooth. You know, and that which does kind of call up the idea of like there is a weird thing in the way black people and white people have kind of interrelated with music over the years.
Okay.
And you know, like look at what's happened with rap music, as basically the white people that tell the black people how to make the music have done. I was listening to somebody the other day, and it was just such a stark thing, and it's something that I've said forever, especially when talking about Biggie Smalls.
Okay.
Is that you look at the music and look what they were talking about back in like the early 90s, late 80s. That shit had so much politics to it, you know, and yeah, they'd have a couple party songs and stuff, but you listen to Biggie, it was all about making as much fucking money as you could to get the hell out of the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then at a certain point, they started glamorizing the lifestyle of being a poor, lower class person. And, you know, so then so much of the music just really became about getting fucked up and, you know, doing as many pills as you can. And then we end up where we're at now with Future, who literally has a song that's just Molly Percocet, Molly Percocet. Like, that's where we're at. Just do pills and ignore life. You know, fucking for all the shit, you know, like the gang shit that they were talking about, all those guys was legitimately trying to do something with their life to put themselves in a better position than they are now.
Right.
It's frustrating. Bring back what's his name? Bring back Shock G. That's all I want.
Well, they had that episode in that web series you sent about who they have, Dre and Warren G.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's how he made his $1 bet, right?
Right.
That's probably one of my favorite callbacks in that show.
Yeah.
Like, peaks at number 4 last week. I don't know how, I don't know when, but the smooth grooves of that song are gonna get it to at least number 2. Don't get me wrong, it's a badass groove, and Warren G is great. What's funny though, because like that song is like so ingrained in that era, that sample. But like I could never imagine a rapper using that if you go to like the actual chorus of that song. Because it's like so major keyed, like when it makes the change.
Yeah.
But like it stays in that like minor cool, it just sounds cool.
It sounds really cool.
You know?
Yeah.
These dudes, like, they're cool guys. but they smoke dope. But you get that second part, like, oh, old white guy music comes in here.
Okay.
You ain't hard, you smooth. For the record, when me and Donald in Pelcone play on stage, I think like 90% of our banter between us is just reciting catchphrases from that show.
You just get
that,
on a
that
roll
nobody
and-
else in the audience gets because there's 10 people on Earth that have ever watched this series.
Right.
I think it's been watched 100,000 times, and I'm about 90,000 of those.
Right now.
so we just. I think it's the God damn that's smooth.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's smooth.
So my apologies to anybody out there who hasn't seen the web series and has to listen to us laugh and recount the hilariousness of it all.
Look,
We'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, no. What it's gonna be is I'm just gonna contact JD Risner and just say, "Hey, man, I just made an hour-long advertisement for a show that you made a decade ago.
There you go.
I think it's actually a decade and a half now.
Right.
It's
If it
too-
still means
Right.
anything to you, you could probably plug it or
Right.
something.
yeah. Come on, we had a guy on here who has Libertarian in his name.
Oh, I know.
We're damaged
No, we can't-
goods.
we can't
Wah,
have that.
wah.
But for me,
Ugh.
everybody told me not to change the name too.
Yeah.
I said, nope, that's
thing.
happening.
Yeah.
It just when I made that decision, it was done.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits of being me. You just make
That's
those,
how you roll. I
you
know
make
it is.
those snap
I know it is.
decisions and you just be okay with it.
Yeah.
I think I'm fine with the decision. I support it.
Well, and I had to buy 2 URLs because I know I know what
Right,
I
right.
say is different than how it's spelled,
Right.
but I want to get people there. So you can look it up the cool
Yep.
way or the right way.
Yep.
But one of the things me and Liz have always come back to is the fact, like, so we both, like, she methodically makes decisions and will wait until she has every piece of information that could possibly be gathered on a topic before
Right.
she'll decide anything.
Right.
Mhm.
And then we'll spend the rest of her life
Wondering
questioning
I
if she
made
should
the
have
right
made the.
decision.
I will make a snap decision
Right.
Mhm.
and then never think about it ever again.
Right.
And just be completely okay with whether it went good or bad. I'm like, yeah, I made the decision I made. What I had, you know?
It's over.
Yeah, it's in the past.
Yeah.
Time to worry about
Yep.
the next decision
There you
I don't have to think
Yep.
about.
It's what it is.
It's funny as hell to watch you deal with it though.
Fair enough.
So, all right, I'm curious to hear what else we got on this list.
Okay, let's bring it back. Okay, we cannot have a list without Christopher Cross.
Oh, yeah.
And we gotta have. I'd go with sailing. I guess he's got a couple that could probably fit him in there, but
He just for the record, he has two songs in the series. You haven't heard the one. The one's gonna be hilarious. So Christopher Cross, I don't. He's not some. I'd never heard this song growing up at all.
Sailing?
Never.
Really?
My experience with that song is we actually did it in choir in like high school.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
My choir teacher, that was one of the songs that he chose for one of our shows that we did. And so I learned how to sing the song before I'd ever heard it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, Chris's version is way better than the version we did.
Yeah. I can see that. It's just so whimsical. It's always really funny to me.
Well, there's an added layer of once you know that that character in the series is played by fucking Justin Roiland,
Mm.
who's the guy who does all the voices from Rick and Morty and who created the show and who has like the most awful sense of humor in the world ever. And it's like, that was such a nice song and you did it so nice. Why you got to be that way with all this other stuff, you know? Like, you're ruining it.
Yeah.
dude, that's funny. You bring up choir and singing songs. I was in marching band, and that's funny enough in and of itself. But we played so many like Chicago songs.
Oh, yeah.
No concept of Chicago at the time as a band. And then later in life, I come back and I'm like, wait a minute, played that song in high school. We rocked it. And now it's even cooler now.
All the flipping horns, man.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you've ever gone and checked it out. Bill McClintock, he's a guy who does mashups on YouTube, and he has an unbelievable version of 25 or 6 to 4 with
Mhm.
Black Sabbath Sweet Leaf over top of it, and it's just absolutely amazing. Like the way that works is incredible. And oh my god, yeah, Bill McClintock. If you like mashups, he's got some good ones with like Slayer and Wham.
I love that concept too, because there's so many times when I hear a song and I'll say to my wife, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like whatever, this other song. And she'll be like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. And I'm like, no, there's enough of it there that could either be similar or you could like weave it in and out. It could be whatever.
What was the one that we put on I shared the other day? And it's like the Ronettes
Yeah.
and
doing,
Pantera.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't Mess With Phil or whatever it's
Yeah.
called. And like The thing is, like, what I don't know how he does it, if he actually gets the actual vocal tracks or if he has the stems somewhere, but he'll take like the fully produced songs and then he'll, cut the bits he needs to get the verses and the choruses all laid out. And then he'll take the actual vocal tracks and put them in there. So like, it just sounds like this should be there. I think one of the most ridiculous ones I ever heard was actually, and this will actually fold in nicely to Yacht Rock, because it was, what's his name? Bill, is it Bill?
Oh, Bill Withers.
Yeah, Bill Withers.
Yeah.
With Pantera Mouth for War over top of it. So you've got Bill Withers, Use Me. You need to keep on using me. It's that don't with fucking Phil just screaming his head off over it. And then you're like, this is really interesting how well this works. And then what they do immediately after that, like, oh, that was cool. All of a sudden they keep the original riff going, and then this guitar solo from Stranglehold comes in. You're just like, the people that can hear this stuff, it is unbelievable to me. Like, how do you like that's the real charm of a good DJ to me. It's just being able to hear the pieces of other people's stuff that work together. Because those are three things I could never in a million years ever imagining having anything in common, and it totally works.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you hear that and you just hear it and you go, wow, how did that even come together? And I'm glad that it did in front of me.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Bill McClintock does crazy mashups. Like he's had a couple that have gotten taken down for artist reasons because like some artists suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally, as an artist, I'd be so stoked Bill McClintock did a fucking mashup of like one of my songs.
Yeah.
There's just a couple artists that are really pain in the ass about their material.
I mean,
Some of them are just like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But he's got literally hundreds of them, and I've never heard a bad one.
Yeah.
I like Slayer a lot, so anyone mixing Slayer and Wham is good in my book.
There you go.
Isn't it All That She Wants with Angel of Death? I think.
Yeah. Anything she wants. Yeah.
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 I'm digging it. I like it. I like this sidebar. I got to look into this a little more. I've been missing out on some of this.
That's the magic of the internet.
Well, no, the beauty of missing out on something is that when you discover it, there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I got kind of pissed. I discovered the Stephen King's Dark Tower series halfway through it. My parents are Stephen King fans, and I had a lot of Stephen King to work through before I ever bothered with that. And I got through like 6 books in like a couple weeks in summer. And then he didn't release another book for another 3 years. And then it was another 3 years after that.
Yeah.
And it sucked so much waiting for new books in this giant series.
Right.
Years at a time. And I'm like, I kind of wish I just found out about it way later and could just read it all at once like I did the first 6 books.
That is true. Yeah. You catch up on it and you can just binge into it and it's fun.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit around and wait. Yeah, I can see that. You're sitting around like, come on already. I'm ready. Let me see it.
Well, it's like an artist, they've got a great album and then you're like, oh, great. Now I gotta wait for more.
Right. See what they do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. How's it going? This is Nikki P, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by our neck of the woods. I sure hope you enjoy listening to Peace Freqs as much as we enjoy making it. Now, as much fun as it is right now, I know it can be a lot more fun, and the way to make it more fun is to grow that community. Unfortunately for us, growing anything organically on the internet is a thing of the past, and as much as I'd like to dump Irma's college fund into growing the show, that would make me a bad parent. So if you want to help create a bigger, more badass community, stop by upgradetheshow.com. We have monthly and yearly fiat options and one-time and yearly crypto options. But don't go thinking an upgraded community is all you're going to get. All patrons of the show get access to the Freedom Choir, chock full of bonus shows, and our Zoom link to watch our interviews live. So head over to upgradetheshow.com and help us upgrade this freaky little community.
Did I give you 10 yet?
No.
I'm not entirely sure. Liz is writing it down, I think.
Let me see.
She's also writing down everything we're talking about in between.
Because it's
so
delightful.
Oh, man alive. That's going to be some notes.
I don't think she's going to have as rewarding a note writing session as she's going to have on this one, though. She's just going to
we were
love
up
looking
to
at
8.
Okay. All right. We got to throw in Steely Dan, Do It Again.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's just got a good little groove to it.
We used to do that one live in that prog band I was in, and God, I always liked it because it was a good one to open a set with.
Yeah.
Because you could just throw the drummer up there and just let him play that beat.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple beat, and it's definitive. And so like you'd have him walk up there first, and then that would be kind of like the
Okay.
call to everyone come back to stage was him starting to play the beat.
Oh,
And then so we'd all kind of work our way back
You could
up on
let
stage.
it ride as long as you needed to.
Within reason, but yeah, and so we'd all kind of slowly work our way back to the stage while the beat's going, and the thing is, it kind of calls people attention, like what's going on,
Yeah.
but gets the balls rolling, and so that when we all finally get there, and then we kick in on that, the keyboard will give us the 1, 2, 3 count in,
Yeah.
and we just dive right in.
Yeah.
It was such a fun way to open a set. I miss playing with those guys, but.
They were cool dudes. They're still cool dudes.
Yeah, but Clyde moved to Florida.
There's like long, awkward pause.
the classic, yeah.
It's more of a long awkward pause if you remembered me and the drummer dealing with each other.
I know.
And then he moved to Florida. My life got less stressful.
You guys are both you guys, so
We're both like hard-headed fucking Italian guys, and we want it the way we fucking want it, and that's the way it's gonna be, or it ain't gonna be. The problem is when you put two immovable options like facing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just what happens.
But that's how some of the best music got made, right? And then it was done.
So
That's how it works.
just as a preface, when they do the Steely Dan episode, it's all about FM. Just such a good song.
Oh man. I'm gonna round out the 10 with and I kind of hesitate to put these guys up there because they've had a resurgence lately. And it's Hall & Oates. I'll just say Kiss on My Lips or Kiss on My List. They've had a couple few, but I saw these guys at Red Rocks here in Denver probably 3 or 4 years ago. And like I've never been able to say I've seen a yacht rock artist in concert. This would be the only one that I could say. And it kind of has that what's the word? The guys who just love something old because it's old, like
Nostalgia?
Not nostalgia, but like the guys you make fun of at the bar. You're good, like, those dorks over there. What are they doing? Hippies. No, hipsters.
Yeah.
Hipsters.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
I sound like an old guy. What's that word they used to say to? But there were a lot of hipsters there, but it was still an enjoyable concert.
So here's the thing: that resurgence of Hall & Oates that you're talking about. There is a very specific reason that happened.
Oh.
And it's the same reason why you had so many hipsters there. And that reason is about probably 10 years ago, I want to say it was about 10, a band called The Bird and the Bee. It's a two-piece like girl and a guy band released an album called, what is it, Covering the Masters, and all it was Hall & Oates covers. And so
I remember that now.
And
That's a
for
good
me, like, I mean, I always knew who Hall & Oates were. You knew those songs, but I never really thought of them as being all them. It was just, they were songs of, they were all just these oldies. And then you kind of put together that all of these songs are this one incredible band.
Yeah.
Hall & Oates is also interesting for me in that, so they were in their 30s when they ever started playing together. So that's why Daryl Hall is now fucking 76 years old.
Right.
It's unfortunate because I'm glad I haven't gotten a chance to see them. I think you may have been on the tour right before their last tour, because it would have been hard to watch their last tour for me because Daryl lost it. Like, he just didn't have the voice anymore.
Yeah.
I watched some videos. It's pretty rough to watch. However, that same tour that they were on and Daryl had lost it, Tears for Fears came back, and they were just crushing it. I watched their video from the same show and was just like, holy Jesus, they're fucking incredible. But you're talking about guys from their mid-50s,
right,
who still still have that in them. Who Daryl Hall, whose songs weren't easy to sing when you're a young man, let alone a 76-year-old fucking dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm glad. Like, I love Rush. I'm glad I didn't go to R40 because it would have been hard. Because I get caught Rush on the Vapor Trails tour when Geddy still could sing, and it was awesome. But I've seen video of some of the performances, and I've heard some of the albums from the R40 tour, and you're listening to a guy in his late 60s singing shit that was really hard to sing when you're a young man.
Yeah.
And it's just hard listening to him not do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. And my connection to Hall & Oates is that my dad had a record downstairs by the record player, obviously.
With Pretty Girls on it, right?
Yeah, I think so. It was Maneater. Is that on Maneater?
I don't remember. It's just for the record. There's another good joke that I thought was at the beginning of the series, but I'm thinking it might be at the end.
Oh, okay.
These two ugly women were fighting everyone.
Okay.
No, and the two ugly. If you've ever seen, I think like the Breakout album by Hall & Oates is them with like the crazy makeup faces.
Oh, okay.
So Hall & Oates, I'm curious. Do you find the fact that Daryl became so important to that as being odd, whereas you have John that was an equally talented musician who just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's because the other guy sang more that you think of him as being the mouthpiece of the band. It always seemed like there'd be some resentment there.
I would think so. Because, like you said, everybody's thinking of the song. They're thinking of the lyrics. I don't know. Maybe they get the tune too. Yeah, you can't. How do you really control what people remember you by?
Yeah.
Well, I will stand by this. Is I as big as the Foo Fighters will ever get.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl is always going to be the drummer from Nirvana. I don't care how fucking big they are. And for the record, the Foo Fighters have made many more great albums than the Nirvana ever did. But he will always be the drummer from Nirvana, and that's got to be weird.
Yeah.
Personally, I prefer the Foo Fighters.
Here's another question I have for you, Nikki. What do you think is the worst yacht rock song?
Ooh.
And I have one in the tank, so if you want to think on it, I could talk about mine for a little bit.
Talk about yours, because I've got a few things in my head I'm knocking around and trying to decide.
All right. So this one, the artist's name is Rupert Holmes, and I don't know if maybe this doesn't quite.
Pina Colada song.
Enough. No, not that one. Okay. Answering Machine.
I don't know if I've ever heard that one.
Oh my God, you definitely need to listen to this song. And it's just like, dun, 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 my answering machine. And then there is like this he's leaving an actual message on an answering machine in the middle of the song.
Oh, gross.
That sounds amazing.
It's so terribly awesome.
He says this, he's telling me about this song.
Yeah.
And you know what the worst part is? I'm kind of only half paying attention because when he says answering machine, all I've got in my head
is woo up, shooby doo doo up.
Yes. His telephone line by ELO with Steve Buscemi putting the lipstick on.
Yes. That's exactly what happened in my head.
Because he's thinking like answering machine, and then I just keep it.
Yeah.
You know the other one I'm thinking of answering. What is it called? Oh no, it's not answering. It's Mr. Telephone Man. I think was it by Jackson 5 back then?
Yes. Oh my God.
Wait, did they do Mr. Telephone Man? No. What he's thinking of is actually
that's a different band. Yeah.
Oh, was that somebody else? Not Jackson 5.
I can see the
it's
video
later.
in my
It's
head.
later. It is. It's a very, very young Bobby Brown.
Yes. And what was that flipping band?
What is their name? It's actually in my songbook. Mr. Telephone Man.
That's it. I love that jam.
Because why can't I think of this? If Yonki's listening, he's going to be throwing shit.
I know, right?
Just for the record, I can remember everybody's name in that band, and I can't think of the fucking band because eventually it became Bobby Brown, and the other guys went and formed Belle Biv DeVoe.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking of, them talking about Bobby as the kid from this because that's what he was for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Instead of the crack dealer that killed Whitney.
Right, which is who he is now.
Anyway. I keep thinking Naughty by Nature, but I realize that's insane.
No,
that's way later.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. New Edition.
Yeah, New Edition.
Yes.
See, and the reason is because New Edition is before my time.
Yeah.
But they're like the bands that they became are like when I would have first been getting into music.
Right.
Like I remember Belle Biv DeVoe. I remember Bobby Brown.
Mm-hmm.
New Edition was like I was still too young to really get into music and know what the hell I was listening to.
Yeah.
Yep. New Edition had a couple other ones too that was right in my era. That mid 90s kind of.
Well, they would have been more like they're more late 80s, early 90s. And so they were probably like they would have, like you said, been a staple of adult contemporary radio when you would have been of that age. It would have been on the same time a little bit as Madonna. And she did that song for A League of Their Own. It was super sad.
Oh, at the end.
Used to be my playground. Used to.
Oh God.
Just for the record, A League of Their Own is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, is it?
I just played that for my kids last summer. I think
There's no crying in baseball.
I don't know that I've ever seen that one.
We watched The Sandlot, And the kids love The Sandlot. And I was like, all right, we can do some other baseball ones. There's some good ones out there. Let's watch A League of Their Own.
Liz, if you've
They
never
were-
seen A League of Their Own, we're watching it the minute we're done here. Like, I don't know how you've gone here.
Like, none of that sounds familiar.
What is it?
That's
What's her name? Not Ricky Lake, the other one. The one that Trump's always picking on.
Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
Looks at the character. She's like, well, if we're trying to get more more people to the games, what if, I don't know, all of a sudden, I go to catch a ball and my bazooms fall out? And then Rosie O'Donnell goes, look, like there's a man in New York that hasn't seen your bazooms.
Okay.
Like, it's a genuinely fucking hilarious movie.
Okay.
And
It is fun.
and it happens to have one of my list,
Yeah.
my Hall Pass list.
Right.
What's her name? Tank Girl. Before she's Tank
Oh,
Girl.
Lori Petty.
Lori Petty
Okay.
is in the show,
Okay.
and she's a redhead.
Aw,
Yeah,
that's fun.
she's the sister that wants to play and isn't good enough to play.
Aw.
And
Right.
who is it? Who is it that plays her older sister in it? Is it Gina Davis, or what's her name?
Yeah, Gina Davis is in it. Yeah.
Yeah, Gina Davis plays her older sister that
Okay.
they want to play, who doesn't want to play.
Aw.
It's a very well constructed movie, and Tom Hanks plays a good Tom Hanks role where he's just a drunk asshole.
Oh, interesting.
Like this,
Back when he was willing to do those, huh?
he's
Yeah.
so funny in it. Like
It's not quite as drunk as what's his name? Is it Walter Matthau in Bad News Bears?
Oh God. Okay.
Because he is really drunk in that one, and it's kind of funny to look back on.
was he actually drunk in that too? Is what I want to know.
I mean, back then, who
That's-
knows?
I see. You get started on that, like the difference between the original Bad News Bears, and they should have never
Oh,
made
yeah.
the sequel because
Mm-hmm.
and what's awful is like because you look at the way they made the '90s version and like how much they had to change even then. I cannot even
Yep.
fucking fathom them making a Bad News Bears now. All the
No.
changes that would be necessary. Like I'm surprised that movie is even still allowed to be talked about.
Right.
I wonder if this podcast is going to be deleted because of it.
Jeez.
I mentioned the original Bad News Bears and like memory hole it. No one can.
Like,
No one can
can't
know.
talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this too, Lizzie. Do you know the saying "You're killing me, Smalls"?
Yes, I've heard. Is that from that?
No, that's from The Sandlot.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. I've seen the
And
Sandlot.
that one. When I watched it with the kids and my wife was watching, I don't think she had ever watched. We got to that part, and she's like, "Oh, that's where
That's
that
where
comes."
that came from.
I'm like, yeah,
The Salt and the
It's
SWAT, the King of Crash, the Great Bambino, Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
There you
Yep.
go.
and I'll tell you what, The Sandlot 2, not very good. It's okay.
Angels in the
They tried
Outfield
to
was
bring-
always my.
See, here's the thing: like, you have angels in the outfield because you have a religious background.
Yeah.
For secular children, we were raised with The Sandlot
Okay, fair enough.
because it was basically angels in the outfield minus the heart plus kids swearing.
Okay, so yeah, better. Sure.
Yeah, it was.
Which one, Bad News Bears or The Sandlot?
The Sandlot. There's a really good cast in that movie.
Yeah.
The Bad News Bears, from what I remember, like none of them went on to do anything. If I remember correctly, El Jefe from No Effects.
It's because it was completely offensive, Nikki. We cannot have that.
Maybe that's it. Like that movie in history, they literally that movie. You know what it is?
What?
I bet we're in the alternate timeline after the time cops went back.
Oh, okay. An erase.
Well, they erased all of those kids' careers,
Okay.
and then we're the timeline that happened after their careers were erased.
Right. Okay. Gosh.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm sitting here. I'm still trying to think of a yacht rock song I just hate, and
It is tough. It is
Yeah.
tough to come by one that's bad.
Hmm.
Because even the bad ones, you're like,
Yeah,
that's
but
still pretty good.
yeah.
I think for me it's just like I wouldn't think and a song that I didn't like I would just immediately block out of my memory. Like okay, yeah, I guess that happened. I can't even think of a song that's on the radio now I don't like because
Good lord.
they just if I don't like it,
It just disappears.
Yeah,
into the
I've
ether.
got
Doesn't exist.
too much space in my head for shit that I do like
Oh man.
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
can't think of it. I mean,
That's
I
all right.
obviously
How about
know there's stuff back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I miss? Is there anything that you go, oh my God, how did you not have this one?
I'm a little
I mean,
interested in you didn't have anything by what's his name, the guitar player I like. He did Breezin'.
Oh. That's on here.
Yeah.
George Benson.
Yeah, George
George
Benson
Benson.
had Breezin', but he had that other one that I really like.
I tell you what.
Turn Your Love Around. That's my jam.
Oh, yeah.
Turn
okay.
your
That one's good.
love around.
Absolutely. Yeah. That one, that's a jam. The other one I love, this one's on my slow jam list, is Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You.
Nice.
George Benson.
Nice.
And that one's down near the top of my slow jam list.
Do we consider, like, what's their name? They're named after a food, Liz. Ambrosia. Like, do we consider ambrosia yacht rock?
I don't know.
I have one on the list.
How
much I feel.
Okay, that makes sense.
How much I feel for you, baby.
Like, I like that one, but they have some other hits that I'm just like, was this a real thing? Because this isn't it. This isn't that. I would assume ambrosia has a couple things that I would probably classify as nah.
No, not so much.
Nah.
Yeah.
How Much I Feel is not one of them. That is
Yeah.
a good song.
Yeah.
But they're one of those ones. I'm like, I don't know. What's funny is because there's like some late era soul music that kind of falls into that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to say, is it like not the Platters? God, this is gonna bug me. Some of those like old Motown bands have
Like
stuff.
Stylistics or
Yeah, I think the Stylistics would be one of them. Like, some of their stuff kind of fused into there towards the end.
Yeah, sure. Commodores.
Mm.
You know who I really, really like? See, there's stuff that, like, you an Atlanta Rhythm Section guy at all?
Oh yeah. I'm so into you, Nikki.
NC, I love that song. And what's weird is because, dig this. You'll appreciate this. So me and Irma were listening to the Zombies the other day. She was talking about her
Nice.
and we were talking about, I can't remember what the hell we were listening to, but we'd listened to a couple, and I'd mentioned about Rod Argent and the keyboard player becoming famous. And I think we played Time of the Season.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the third song we got to, and she's like, I see why the keyboard player is the one that became famous, Daddy. He's a really good keyboard player.
You're like, yes, I'm doing something right.
That's a fucking win. I'll take it. and it was like a completely unprompted thing. Like, I'd completely forgotten all about, talking to her about Rod Argent.
Yeah.
And then, like, a couple songs later, she's like, yeah, no, I get it. That makes sense.
What about like Al Jarreau? Like, We're in This Love Together?
Ah.
Good old Al Jarreau.
I mean, he just does what he does,
So Liz and I were actually talking earlier about, we're not sure, did we talk about this on the episode for the record, or was this earlier? I don't remember.
Oh, I don't know.
Our favorite moment in, like, who is it? We have our favorite moment is either an American Dad reference or if it's the Yacht Rock Show reference.
Oh, I don't know.
I hope it's who's your favorite character on American Dad?
Mine was.
The Yamo Be.
Oh, Yamo Be There.
Yamo Be There.
Oh,
Because there's the episode where the Asian guy sings Yamo Be There and ends it. It's a gambling episode where the principal is, like, gambling with the Asian
And they're
people.
all in the car.
Whenever you call.
Oh, jeez.
But we were trying to decide which was the funnier episode involving that on American Dad, or if it was the bit that they make about how Yamo happened on that show.
Yeah.
I think it might be. See, I love anything American Dad with Steve Smith.
Because just letting him, like, sing and do his thing. Because the actor, he wanted to be, like, in Boyz II Men. Like, that was but he's like a little, he's like a short, freckled, red-haired guy. And he just couldn't make it happen back in the 90s when he wanted to.
Well, do you watch The Orville at all?
no. I mean, I haven't watched it. I'm familiar with it, but I don't. I've never watched it.
Essentially, the guy who plays, like, the second in command, I think it is, on the show.
Yeah. Is
He's the guy who does Steve Smith's voice on
Right.
American Dad.
And so basically what his friend Seth MacFarlane did in American Dad is just, like, find excuses for him to sing R&B music as this little teenage kid from the suburbs.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
My biggest mistake was leaving you. Looking up at the ceiling of my bedroom, not into your eyes. Seeing faces pass on the sidewalk, all just strangers under pale blue skies. Looking into any of those faces, it's yours I'm hoping I'll run into. Not sure what I'd say
Well, in general, I think the musical elements of American Dad are probably one of the most overlooked things about it. They have a great episode with CeeLo Green where he plays a singing
Hot tub.
singing hot tub.
Yeah.
And like, let me tell you right now, there are a few things as fucking funny as CeeLo Green as a hot tub. The whole episode is a spoof of Little Shop of Horrors, and instead of like a talking plant, they have a talking hot tub.
Oh,
Right.
got it.
And
Yep,
CeeLo
yep.
Green plays the character.
He's just trying to get people to get in.
Yeah, the back,
man.
and like basically the guy that they have that sells the hot tub to them is basically like Prince.
Yeah.
He gives them a spray can full of what Funk Be Gone or whatever it is. But then you
Would
have
it be we should do a classic horror movie thing too.
Oh, God.
Talking like old school horror movies way back. And even up into the 70s, 80s.
Liz would be totally checked out for the record on that.
I mean, I can't really. Well, no, I did see Carrie, and because for some reason I thought that was a good idea. I've seen a couple of the other classic ones. I think I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Nightmare on Elm Street's my jams.
My wife and I used to love that. Used to be our go-to when we were dating before we got married.
Really?
That was the thing that we'd go watch horror movies. After we had kids, my wife was like, "Nope, can't do horror movies anymore," because she's worried like the
Right.
bad thing will happen to the kids.
Yeah.
And so now it's like off limits.
See, horror has always been my thing. Like I grew up with Stephen King parents. Like that's what we were into. And I found Clive Barker in college and got way, way into the horror. And then I met Liz, who was just completely averse to horror. And so I married a woman who completely hates the genre of film that I like. So I unfortunately don't get to watch movies
Yeah.
that I like very often.
I'm getting.
Right.
Well, no, I'm not getting better about it, but I have like
She will
taken a couple forays into it for various reasons.
She will occasionally let me talk her into something.
Yes.
Like I think one of the most recent ones is she watched Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak, because they told me
Mm.
the costumes were gorgeous, because I'm like a historical costume fan, and like they were absolutely gorgeous, but it freaked me the hell out.
And meanwhile, I'm like, this is the most boring fucking horror movie I've ever watched in my life. Like, so I don't think either of us was really satisfied with the outcome of that. Like,
Right. Did not
like-
work out well.
she's like, the horror was too much for me, and I'm like, I could have used a lot more death. There weren't enough good kills.
Yeah.
Like my all-time favorite Christmas movie, which eventually
Black
we'll talk,
Christmas. Yeah.
is I like the remake. The original one's pretty rough because it was just a shitty movie.
Yeah.
But the remake of Black Christmas, which I actually when it came out in 2006, I think, and I actually watched it in theaters on Christmas Day by myself.
That's how you roll.
That is how I roll.
I did watch that one with you a couple times.
She has watched it with me.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie, but I love it.
Yeah.
He makes fucking Christmas cookies out of the fucking
It's
bitch's
just-
back.
What the heck?
Oh, that's
But
great.
like some of my all-time favorite movies are things that I'll never get her to watch. Because
Yeah,
I
no,
just, there's
probably.
no way in hell.
I just couldn't.
Although I can't wait. I don't know. I don't know that I shared it on Twitter, but they have a new movie coming out. It's produced by the same producers who did Mandy, that Nicolas Cage movie, which if you haven't seen is awesome. It's crazy, but it's awesome. So essentially you have these modern producers who did Mandy doing The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. And it's starring Nicolas Cage, but it's directed by Richard Stanley, who is the guy who was supposed to direct The Island of Dr. Moreau, the 90s remake, who ended up being cut out of the movie for a bunch of really, really crazy shit happening. And but prior to that, he was like this visionary, like sci-fi director, like really, really artsy-fartsy, cool stuff. And essentially, he should have been directing like a $5 million movie, and it all of a sudden became a $35 million movie. And it became such a big, massive thing that you're taking like a 20-some-year-old kid who's never dealt with anything like that. And then when things start going bad, it was just kind of like a downward spiral on it.
Yeah.
We watched the
documentary.
I showed her because I actually had watched it before, but
Yeah.
Lost Soul,
Yeah.
the story of Richard Stanley.
It was amazing.
It is, because it's like you can't imagine so many things going wrong in a movie.
Like if you had written the movie, it would be hard to come up with all
Well,
this
it's like
stuff.
it's like so they decide to film it in another country, and it just happens to be their first day on the set. A fucking hurricane comes through and buries the entire set. And then when you eventually get your actors there, the big thing is that he had, who was it? It was
Val Kilmer,
Val Kilmer.
like right after Top Gun, when he's like super famous and doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and then the other one was
Marlon Brando when he's
Marlon Brando
old
at the
and
end of
super
his life,
famous and he doesn't give a shit.
Well, and so eventually what it becomes is you have this young guy who's trying to wrangle these two fucking heavyweights,
Yeah.
and basically they're just there to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Like, Marlon gets there, he's like, I didn't even read the script. Let's just make our money. Let's make our money and be done with this.
Like what?
It's fucking bonkers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's amazing.
But after that, the guy literally disappeared into the fucking woods. And I don't think anyone had heard from him really for 20 years. And essentially this is going to be his directorial debut back.
Yeah. And people are saying it's awesome.
And it's H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
Like, it will either be my favorite movie ever or just I will
Right.
be screaming about it for the next decade.
Right. So you're going to have to watch it and tell me if I can watch it because I'm intrigued, but you know.
I can already tell you there's no way you're going to be able
No.
to watch it.
Okay.
Just off of the trailer that I watched, Liz, there's no way you're going to watch it.
That's fine.
His Nick Cage's face splattered in blood. Like, you're not going to watch it.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
You didn't watch Mandy, right?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah, there was no way you could watch Mandy.
That
It was so good, though.
not freaking happening.
Like, have you ever seen, like, you remember how they used to have those murals painted, like, with wizards and stuff on vans back in, like, the 70s? Like, you'd see a cool picture on the side of a van, and there'd be, like, a wizard and a dragon fighting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now imagine making a movie out of that.
Okay.
And Nicolas Cage is, like, a lumberjack that's in that story. And that's essentially what Mandy is. Only add more LSD than the guys in the van were taking.
Okay, there you go.
Right.
Like, most of the movie is just a giant fucking drug trip. It's kind of like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas meets that mural.
Weird. Okay.
It's super intense, and like literally the villain in the movie is demon bikers hopped up on super LSD.
Sure.
So if you think that's a convincing villain for a movie, this is totally up your aisle.
If that's in the show notes, I'm going to try and watch that.
Okay, I'll put it in the show notes.
It sounds delicious.
Well, one thing I will say is don't watch it with kids around because it's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah.
It is like if you don't like watching.
I mean, my kids are scared from, like, I don't know, a fork being found in a random drawer. You know, that's they're not even in the right mindset yet for horror.
Well, but see, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. As kids, we were stabbing each other's with forks. Like that's just growing up. I feel like that's growing up in the 80s, personally. Like,
Right.
I mean, it could be. Not for us, but
you know,
it could be.
I'm assuming that there's a difference between church kids and secular kids. Once again,
No. I've come to realize that my parent she was on another level because I know church kids and they are still like, no, that's not a thing.
not a homeschool kid thing. I don't know. Whatever it is.
I don't know.
Like I said, I will say I don't know that I've ever watched a movie as gory as Mandy.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you got to count me out of that.
Wow.
Like,
Whew.
I think he's swinging a chainsaw as like his main weapon throughout most of it.
Yeah.
Like chop dudes' heads getting chopped off, and like they don't spare any expense on the blood,
Gotcha.
which is great because the entire movie is filmed in red.
Freaking lights.
It just accentuates it. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, dude, it's like if you watch it, you can watch a trailer on it. Trailers have done pretty good at kind of like letting you know what it is. It's one of those movies
Right.
like you're super excited that like, oh my god, this is exactly what I was told the movie was gonna be.
Yeah.
Like it's just a better version of the trailer. It's longer and more. Like that's
Right.
why can't every trailer be that way?
Yeah.
Half the time you watch a trailer now, like you could have just watched the trailer.
Right. Those are all the best scenes are in the trailer.
Yeah, everything that was worth watching was in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's not like a Marvel movie, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Shots
Yeah.
fired. All right.
Yeah. I'm on board with that analysis.
Like I could have just watched Thanos snap his fingers in the trailer, and then that's all I needed to see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could have skipped all that Captain Marvel stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole another ball of wax.
You like wax, don't you?
I like Marvel. Well, I like Marvel up until the end of that movie. Like when that was over, I was like, all right, I'm out.
You remember?
Satisfied. The end.
Do you remember when every when every movie wasn't woke trash?
Yeah.
The good old
Yeah,
days.
that's true.
I'm
The
gonna be
good old
honest.
days.
Can you even make the Sandlot anymore? Now that I think about it, like we
No.
talk about the Bad
No.
News Bears, and you couldn't even make the Sandlot.
No.
Like the entire Wendy Peppercorn scene would have to be removed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like every boy my age hit puberty at that scene.
Yep.
Wendy Peppercorn. Like technically, that's rape. That's like watching a kid rape a young girl.
Yeah, it's awkward.
Just going in for the kiss, seeing
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
Well, we joke about it, but like that legitimately is a concern. Like That is a concern that I had growing up that I think I was just ahead of the curve on.
Right. You're
That's-
like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be thinking this is
No,
okay.
I was so terrified to talk to girls because I kind of always lived in a world where I assumed anything I said could be misconstrued as assault.
Yeah.
That's different. I was just terrified.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I don't think that was as much of a prevalent thing. I was just like, I'm awkward, weird, young Nick. That's pretty much what I'm at right now.
Well, and I was that too, but I was for me, I know I was definitely legitimately afraid that like,
It was gonna be like a legal thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are now and fucking kids are having less sex than they've ever had because they're afraid of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
I think
a
I
legal
just
thing.
missed that era a little bit, just on the front end.
Or let's set this up. Maybe it's because they didn't grow up with yacht rock.
This is true.
when
You-
you could just put on something smooth
you-
and
you-
the girls
you-
would just be down for anything.
Yeah, you feel as if all the music around you was Steely Dan and Hall & Oates. There would have been plenty more opportunities to make things happen.
Well, there
Maybe
you
that's
go.
all it is.
Yep.
Maybe we need a new resurgence of yacht rock.
Actually, there are some bands out there that
I
are
mentioned
kinda
this to
doing that
him.
thing.
Do you
Yeah.
remember any of their names offhand?
Gosh.
Because we were down a rabbit hole looking for
We
them.
were. I've got a bunch on my YouTube. I'll pull them up and put them in the show notes.
well deserved.
because-
I
yeah.
was wondering too if we could just make a blanket statement to say that if you don't like yacht rock, you're a communist. Can we like come up with a phrase?
It's un-American. No,
You're
it's
not a real libertarian
Yeah, there you go.
unless you listen to yacht rock.
Well, I think
That way we can weed them out.
I think anything said with "you're not a real libertarian" is the most libertarian thing you can say. and it doesn't matter what you say.
You have to start with
As lo-
actually.
Right.
So you anything sandwiched between actually, if you don't blank, you're not a real libertarian. Literally put anything. And you could actually say, look, if you don't follow what Karl Marx says, there is a strand of libertarian that will tell you you're not a real libertarian.
No problem.
This is yeah.
So I think it's this thing that's jumped the shark.
Just jump the shark.
And,
Get
that-
over
and
with.
hence why it's not the show name anymore.
Okay.
We're on roll for bonus content this month. So this will help get the numbers up because when this comes out, last month we will have had a fire month.
Yeah. Straight.
There you
fire.
go.
Yeah.
Doing what I can for you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Should we like plug things? Is there a thing we should tell people?
Well, he's the guy you got to ask that for.
Yeah, with the
Where's he
Yeah.
want us to send people?
Yeah, where should
Well,
we send people?
I send everybody to denverlibertarian.com.
Nice.
That's the clearinghouse. It's got the Twitter feed there, Instagram, all the articles are up there. That's the easiest way to go. Twitter at DEN Libertarian.
nice.
And that's it.
They make you keep your Twitter handles short, way shorter than they should be.
Yeah. Yep. I guess same handle out on Instagram too. Whatever.
Okay.
Those are the two places.
We managed to get our name everywhere. Like the Peace Freqs managed to be available everywhere, which is kind of funny because there actually is a Peace Frequency podcast that it's
It's
no
not
longer
something.
a thing.
Oh,
What was it called?
Peace Frequency.
right.
It's actually
Okay.
it's Peace Frequency and it's put out by like some think tank. I looked it up before we changed, and that's kind of why I chose to go Peace Freqs and like really make sure the freaks part of it is explicit
Yeah.
because I
Right.
didn't want to have any issues,
Right.
especially since they were a podcast and we were actually in the same thing. My initial domain I was looking at getting I couldn't get because of that. Like Peace Frequency is actually them.
It came up right because I used to have you guys through the Launchpad Media feed where they had multiple in one.
You still listen to it? Anything on there?
I mean, every now and again,
Um,
not too frequently. I mean, that's where I listened to you guys, but then you would, when I searched for Peace Freaks, just independently, it came right up. So
Oh, okay.
you're all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that works.
At any rate, we're putting out stuff on the Liberty Hippie Network feed now, so
There you go.
So I'm excited about that. I want to get that ball rolling for all the lefty
I
libertarians
was gonna
out
say
there.
you just want more libertarian hippies. I get it.
I do. I don't want to have to hang out with quite so many conservative Christians.
He's like, this is awkward for me. I feel like there's things I want to talk about. You guys are gonna be weird about it.
I'm the token heathen, Liz. And sometimes I'd like to not be the token heathen. I'd just
There
like
you
to be. I'd like to be the regular heathen sometimes.
Okay.
We're fine. I'm regular heathen with you,
Oh,
so
there you
we can join up.
Honestly, we've been going over the branding for this show
Mhm.
the past couple days. I read a book called Story Brand, and I really liked it in the way that it broke down like the entire idea of how to think about your customers, that kind of shit. And we started thinking on it, and so we started kind of thinking about how we're actually going to brand the show.
Yeah.
And I think my big thing is I want it to be the anti-culture war show.
Mm.
Can we just be about like whatever you're about?
Yeah, like
Just do that.
I know for me, like especially in the libertarian circles, like it's because I'm not a hardcore capitalist, I don't fit in with like all of the weird deviant lefty libertarians. But like being an atheist and into drugs and stuff kind of makes me not fit in with like the
Right.
makes me not fit in with the other side all that well. And like
It is kind of an odd couple.
yeah, so it's like I'm just kind of feel like I'm always stuck here in the middle, not any one extreme. Like I don't know that I care so much about whether the left or right wins because I think ultimately that's always going to exist.
Yeah, probably.
I think we just right now exist in a left world because the right didn't do anything for so fucking long.
So we're just gonna make our little weird club of weirdos here in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just gonna be a bunch of weird little freaky people.
Yeah.
Was it long hair? Was it long-haired freaky people need not apply?
Yeah, there you go.
And when they give you that word, this is where you come.
Right.
Well, right on, boss. Now I got to go force her to watch this movie.
Okay.
Anything else we wanted to get in today? I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had a lot of fun. I think we covered a lot. I think we're good.
All right.
Good
Thank
on
you.
my end.
Thank you for joining us.
Go finish that fucking show because I want to hear your thoughts when you get to the end of it. Because man, there's some good stuff lined up on it.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you sent me that link too. That's so damn funny.
Well, dude, anyone who mentions Yacht Rock, it's the first thing I think of, and I don't even know how I found it.
Yeah.
Because I've only known about it for like the past couple years.
Right.
And it was just something I stumbled over. And it's like, why didn't I not find out about this sooner? Because like, honestly, like some of those people are all like big name stand-up comics now.
So it's safe to say that Yacht Rock was the springboard into their fame.
It may have been the thing that started. Because of the timeline. This may have been the thing that got the Bird and the Bee. Because I imagine they would have been out hanging out with all those people in L.A. You probably think,
sure.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then that led to the whole Hall & Oates resurgence, and then maybe that led to the modern yacht rock we have now.
So we have a band here that I love that actually got told they couldn't use their name anymore, and they're my favorite. Was one of my favorite band names ever, and they went by Yachtly Crew.
Still, I
love it.
They were a great. I want to say they're a good yacht rock band.
Yeah, it was just fun because you'd go somewhere and they'd just be like doing their yacht rock thing.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't even care if you're a mediocre band playing yacht rock. Like it's just a fun thing to play.
Yeah, they totally got it too.
Me and Liz had gone to a couple of their shows, and it's just like I can dance to this.
Yeah,
let's just dance to this Steely Dan.
This is cool.
They're playing Peg. Yeah. Why are we not doing that? But man, those fucking people told them they had to cease and desist using their name.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
change the band name apparently.
Better name.
Apparently, yeah.
They didn't. I think it's like now Yacht Rock Review. It's terrible.
Something like that, yeah.
Yachtly Crew was such a good fucking name. And like they were using it for years before they got the cease and desist.
I know. It's so weird. Like we thought they were cool. We're like, oh, they're gonna get away with it, I guess.
And they just got too big.
Yep, probably.
Honestly,
get whacked.
That probably is about what it was. Like,
yeah,
you can get away with a lot of shit under the radar. That's the agorist thing, you know.
Yep.
Just don't get noticed. I'm not as good with that as Liz is. Liz is good at not being noticed. I personally, I like to be noticed.
Always end up just on the radar.
So, well, thanks so much for coming on, Nick. It was a blast. I'm not entirely sure. This one might be a week or two away from release. It'll probably be like a Thursday episode.
Yeah.
But I've been actually editing episodes lately, so it takes me a lot longer to get them out.
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm doing songs and stuff.
Yeah, doing all the fancy stuff.
Oh yeah.
We have another song recorded. It's not going to be probably this episode, but maybe the episode after that. What was it I did?
You doing your parodies?
Yes.
It's Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah, we did the Chris Isaac one this week.
Something.
And then the next one that's coming out is Don't Stop Believing the Government's Watching You or whatever.
Right. Yeah, something like that. You know.
It's just basically about the NSA spying on everybody.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. So, all right, boss. You have yourself a good one.
Yep. You guys take care. Thank you.
This podcast is a proud creation of the Mad Audio Lab. For more information, check out madaudiolab.com. Peace Freqs is part of the Liberty Hippie Podcast Network. If you like what we do, be sure to check out Homesteads and Homeschools, Free Markets Green Earth, Cannabis Heals Me, and This Week in Liberpods. We're living proof that libertarian doesn't mean washed up Republican.